I think the biggest thing, and this is just like kind of good allyship 101, so it applies to me being a white person as well, and me being able-bodied as well, but like shutting down any bigotry that you hear is like the good, easy first step. So like if you hear somebody get misgendered or they use the wrong pronouns, like just push back on that behavior. And especially because there are more and more trans people becoming more and more visible, hopefully that's easier because those conversations are happening organically. I think one of the cool things that's happening right now, and I'm the worst because I should have Googled this, but there is an actor on a show right now who is non-binary, and they're playing a non-binary character. And there's been a conversation happening of if they're doing a really good job, which, yeah, you're doing a good job, but there's a conversation happening of if they get nominated for Best Supporting Actor, what category do they go in? Yeah, thank you, billions. It's such an interesting question of like, we have so intentionally, specifically, and ridiculously gendered things that when you have someone who does not fit into one of two boxes, all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, we need to build another box for them. Or I'm like, or we could just stop boxes, like just break them, that's fine too. And I think that that's a really, it's just a cool conversation to be like, there's this awesome person doing this awesome work and we want to reward their work, but the systems we've set up preclude us from rewarding them, and how fucked up is that?
And I think too, like, depending on your family, because there's spectrums of that, I mean, I think sort of doing it subversively too, like, here's a show, Billions, that's really awesome, and like not mention that there's a non-binary character, like sometimes that's like good to sneak it in and sort of like humanize it, like.
I have done that before.
Yeah.
Like, here's a book.
It's a great book.
Where's Ms. Marvel? My Fox News watching family. You should just go read it, and I'm gonna run away. And like open it after I leave.
Bye.
Yeah, like starting an argument over Thanksgiving dinner, maybe not the most like effective way. I think kind of going back to what you're saying, like it's important to start where the person that you're talking to is at, you know, and recognizing that a lot of these boxes are things that we have all been raised and grown up in our culture and society, and so you got to start where they're at, and you know these people best, and you know they love you and trust you, and so you got to be on that journey with them, and there are mistakes will be made, and you won't know where to continue, and that's just kind of how things naturally progress.
I was just going to say one more thing, because again, I don't know your family, so I don't know how abrasive, or if you're just educating in general.
It depends on which side of my family. My mom's family is actually awesome, and we've been having these discussions. I just don't know how to talk to my dad's sister, because she's from Virginia.
Just the next time you see her, wear a shirt that says sisters, not sisters, C-I-S-T-E-R, and just be like, hey.
So I'll say one more thing, and this is as someone, again, like, as a white woman, and like, it's really easy for people to assume that I will join in on like stuff. Sometimes, or just in general, like, yeah, whenever you see like very low-key like bigotry or you know, transphobia, it's easy to seize up. And you kind of have to just prepare yourself to not seize up, because it's immediate, like that's a survival method and something your body does naturally. You gotta like really force yourself to be ready to be like, actually that's not a cool thing to say. And again, it depends on like how safe you feel with like different members and everything. So I don't want to say like, oh yeah, just tell them that they're wrong, because again, I don't know the situation. But get really prepared to have those answers or to have those responses and practice.
Yeah, you can practice.
Yeah.
You can.
One quick thing. YouTube is a place full of transgender, queer, and non-binary people who have been on there for years talking about their experiences, and it is a great place to just like send a link to your aunt and say like, this person's really cool. This one video they made a dress. Watch the rest of them.
Yeah. And honestly, like so much of what I've learned is just from following on Twitter marginalized people in general. And that's the thing, when we talk about research, it's not just like Google, right before you write the script, Google like trans women, what's that about? But if you spend real time and immerse yourself in that before you get the project, that is honestly the best way to go because it's you learning consistently.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where a lot of writers who jump into this lose, like that they don't, it doesn't connect for them, and they think that they can do a one-on-one like Google search and then be ready to write these characters. And you need a little more, you need to work a little harder.
Than a Wikipedia search.
Yeah.
I think we had one.
Yeah, more questions? Any other? Go for it, yeah.
Okay. I know earlier during the panel you brought up that webcomics are kind of like the future of stories that really embrace diversity and queer representation. And a lot of these webcomics, me at least personally, I found out through, I guess, like through Kickstarter, and I thought I found out about Bold the Star. And I wanted to ask, like, are there any like webcomics or indie comic creators on Kickstarter or Patreon, any projects that you kind of support? Patreon.
So I'm going to recommend something that just recently finished because the short version is Comics Alliance still exists, but it's not making more content now. But you should go on there and look up John Eric Christensen's webcomics Q&As because he is a gay man who writes about comics, and he was all about promoting queer comic creators. So if you look for, again, like Comics Alliance webcomic Q&As, you will find a ton of webcomics that are being made right now by queer creators. So that's my go-to for...
My go-to is actually someone who's here this weekend, C. Spike Trotman.
Yes.
Runs Iron Circus Comics she's the largest publisher in the Midwest. And she does Kickstarters for almost all of her books. She publishes predominantly erotica, but it is almost exclusively done by women, people of color, LGBTQ people, people with disabilities. It's all very representative. And if you follow her on Twitter, you will find the most awesome people, and you will find the Kickstarters. And so her handle is...
We'll tweet it
we'll
out.
tweet
We
it
have
out. Yeah,
with 1 minute.
Yeah,
Any last questions?
I keep an opt-in list of queer, LGBT, etc. creators on Patreon to support. So I can tweet the list at you.
Perfect.
Yes. Tanya does I Need Diverse Games, and she has an opt-in list of all sorts of creators to support on Patreon. It's mostly LGBTQ. Yes.
LGBTQ, POC, etc. Just whatever identity.
So like marginalized identity people that you can support on Patreon.
Okay, one last question. Yeah, you in the pink.
I just wanted to say, not a question, but a shameless self-promotion. I'm doing a queer comics book talk thing at the pop-up library at 1:30, and it includes a bunch of these James Tynion things that you guys have mentioned. So if you want to come and get a chance to flip through the woods or flip through Constantine, plus see a bunch of Kickstarted anthologies that have a lot of diverse things in it, come see me at 1:30 at the pop-up library.
Okay, we're at time.